Hey, welcome back, guys. Today we're going to make some delicious classic smothered pork chops. All right, so you see I've got my beautiful pork chops here. These are about 3/4 of an inch thick. Got them all nice, cleaned up. They look really, really good. And we're going to keep it really simple. So I'm going to season them with some Sazon, garlic powder, black pepper, onion powder. We have bell peppers and onions that we're going to use as well. Now all I'm going to do is just season my pork chops fairly liberally with my seasoning. You don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to underdo it as well, because the seasoning from your pork chops will help season the gravy a little bit as well. So we're just going to season them up really well with all my seasonings that I showed, and then move on. All right, so we've got the pork chops seasoned up real nicely. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. So generally, you would bread your pork chops, just put them in a bag and bread them heavily. But I want kind of a light breading on my pork chops this time. So we're just going to put a nice little thin layer of flour over the top without fully submerging them in the flour. Now, if you wanted to, you could do that as well. It's not a huge deal. I'm just doing it this way on today. And once you thinly coat both sides, we're going to go into a nice shallow skillet here. I have just a little bit, probably a 1/4 inch of oil at the bottom of my skillet. And all we're trying to do is just brown up our pork chops. We're not trying to cook them all the way done. We just want to get a nice little brown crust on the outside of each side. And after a couple minutes, we're just going to go ahead and flip them over. You can see how we got a nice golden brown color on that side. So we're just going to flip all the rest of them, brown up the other side, and then we'll move on to the next step, guys. All right, guys, so now we've got our chops all browned up. It's time for us to go ahead and build our gravy. Now we're going to leave everything that we had in the skillet in the skillet. You don't want to remove anything, and you want to keep that same oil. So there was probably just under a cup of oil in the bottom of my skillet here. So I'm going to use that same amount of flour to go into my oil, and we're going to build our roux for our flour. Now, if you wanted a little bit of a thicker gravy, then you could add a little bit more flour to that. But this is going to make the consistency that I want, which is I would consider a medium gravy, not too thick and not too thin. So once you get your flour into the skillet, you just want to go ahead and continue to move it around and cook that flour taste out of there. I'm not going for a super dark gravy, so I'm not going to cook it a long time, but I do want to remove that flour taste or flour flavor from our gravy. All right, guys, so now that we've cooked our flour down for about 3 minutes, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to add about half of my bell peppers and onions. I like to get some of that in there with my gravy initially, then we'll top our pork chops with the rest as we go along. You can see how when you move your flour around, how it leaves that line on the middle of, in the middle of the pan. That lets you know that you're right where you need to be as far as your roux is concerned. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to add some chicken broth to this as well. If you don't have chicken broth, you could use beef broth. You could actually use vegetable broth. And if push comes to shove, you can use water as well. It doesn't give you the flavor that I'm looking for, but I know there are a lot of people out there that actually do use water to build their gravy, but you can use whatever you like. I'm using chicken broth. So what I'm going to do, I just want to pour in just a little bit of that chicken broth just to get that, activate that flour. Once you add that liquid in it, everything begins to thicken up some. So I like to add a little bit of water in, or a little bit of my liquid in, just to activate that flour. Then I'll put my chops in. Then we'll go ahead and top the chops with the rest of my chicken broth. All right, and you just want to get your chops in your skillet as best as you can. You want to try to submerge them all as best as you can. If you can't get them all at the bottom, just kind of layer them to the best of your abilities, where you have pretty much equal coverage for each chop. You can see here, I ran out of my chicken broth, so now I am adding just a little bit of water here just to top them off. All right, now once you get your chops situated, we're going to go ahead on and put back in, or finish off the rest of the veggies that we had. Our red bell pepper, our green bell pepper, and our onion. Now I used about a small onion, a small bell pepper, and a small red bell pepper. If you don't like as many peppers and onions as yours, you do not have to use it. And I cut these fairly thick because they're going to cook down and get soft. But if you don't like them as thick, just cut them how you like. All right, guys, so we've had our pork chops going just for about 20 minutes. I just want to let you guys see how it's looking. It's looking amazing, it's smelling good, so we're just going to continue to let them go. All right, guys, so we're about 45 minutes in. Everything is looking good. The gravy is the consistency that I want. It's not too thick, but it's definitely not too thin. It's going to go amazing over some rice. And you can just see how these chops are looking. They're pretty much tender and they're done now, but I want them a little bit more tender. I want them fork tender. So we're just gonna go ahead and let them go about another 15 to 20 minutes. Then bring you guys back in. All right, y'all, so we've let them go another 15 minutes and we're just gonna check on these bad boys. Yeah, and they're just fall apart. That's what I was looking for. So these bad boys are ready to go. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take them off the heat, get my rice and everything together, and then when I plate up, I'll let you see what we have going on. You guys stay tuned. All right, so I have some green beans here, some white rice. And we're just gonna layer on a couple of these chops and some gravy, and we're gonna eat good. This is one of my favorite meals. My all-time favorite is fried pork chops with fried potatoes and creamed corn. But this one here is in the top 5, I would say, for sure. Anything smothered with gravy, I'm in on, and these pork chops are money. Just look at them falling apart. That's exactly what I was looking for when I do a smothered pork chop. Yeah, buddy, just look at that. Now we're gonna go ahead and ladle over some of this good old gravy. For real, I could just eat the rice and gravy and be fine. But yeah, these pork chops are hitting. And it's a nice layer of this gravy here. You can see that nice, beautiful color. I didn't want that darker brown gravy. I just wanted a nice, just a nice, good old-fashioned gravy. Not too dark, not too light. It's gonna be good. Get some of those peppers and onions on there, and there's our dinner. Just look at that. That looks amazing. That looks amazing. And that's our dinner, guys. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Till the next time, God bless. We'll see you around.